let's just go right into it. So I published the article about Freedom Cities today, Rick.
Yeah.
Um, and so so Schumer has come out and said that he is not going to support. No Democrat is going to support extending the National Guard takeover of DC.
Good. Okay.
But there are DC checkpoints all over the town.
Yeah.
And there's, video of it, and like people getting like, why are you in the city? Do you belong here? If you don't belong here, get the fuck
Right.
out.
Yeah, it was like, get off our street kind of stuff going on that I
Yeah,
saw.
and then it was there. So there was the ICE presence, right? There's the checkpoints, but then that lit on fire, from my understanding, with the people from DC who were like, "Get the hell out of here." Did I get that right? Because that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were actually like diverting people from driving the direction that the checkpoint was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's so the National Guard started ramping up its presence in Washington on Thursday today, deploying troops to the National Mall and the metro stations to set up checkpoints. So they have checkpoints at the National Mall and they have checkpoints at the station, the train stations.
If you know a lot more, which I'm sure you do, about the National Guard, what's their actual usual job?
Well, whatever you want to take that one, Andy. I'll be.
No, I'll let you have that one, Rick.
Okay. Yeah. So normally, they are basically not the same as the standing army that is, like there to be be available at any time. They are, they're different from reservist troops, but you can think of them somewhat like that, sort of analogous to it, where they're supposed to be available under normal circumstances to, help with state-facing issues, needs, not policing necessarily within law enforcement and overstepping that bound, but they're to kind of pick up slack as far as helping people get, rescued, helping people get safety when there's for example, so a terrorist action or something like that.
Gotcha.
That would be well within their purview. This usage of them is really, both in California and in Washington D.C., is really it's very suspect. It's already come under.
That's what I wondered. Yeah.
Legal assault. And in fact, just as an interesting side note, I have a tracker that I follow just to keep myself, there's literally hundreds of actions in the courts right now that are working their way through the system against Donald Trump and various agencies that under his control. And I checked in that today, and there were at least 4 new lawsuits that were brought about as a result of the DC specific stuff. Yeah. And there's a huge amount of worry that, see, the psychological effect of this is the big deal, right? The cruelty is the point, to use that phrase. It's like, this sends a message loud and clear, and it is very unforgiving.
Yeah.
It's very one way. It's not like
I mean, it's like such a national abusive relationship.
Yeah, it is. And it's to normalize too, because there's this thing they call the Overton window. It's just a simple way to put it, is that your expectation of normal, if we look back, let's say 24 months ago, or even to 2015, right, that if you thought about, if I told you that tomorrow you're going to wake up and Obama would do all this stuff, right, your head would explode. You'd be like, wow. But because things get crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier, the window just shifts, right? And you start to get normalized to the idea that, what am I going to wake up today? We're going to have cockroaches falling from the ceiling, and the plagues of locusts and swarms and all that,
Well, that's like my marriage, though, because I mean, it's slowly
Yes,
That's
yes.
it. And I just got more and more accustomed to it. And pretty soon I'm thinking, why am I still here when I'm thinking about putting burner phones in the bathroom in case I need to call for help?
Right.
I mean,
Wow.
it just
Yeah.
goes for a long time. Yeah.
I totally get that. And yeah, that is a good way to put it, or a good way to think of it, I guess, and or
Yeah.
frame it.
Oh,
Not a
sorry.
good way to live it. I'm so sorry about that.
I
No, no,
know,
no, it
right?
really isn't.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
I find it really, concerning that this action, and if you listen, there was a clip that I wasn't able to find. I don't know if they took it down or not, but there was a clip of Stephen Miller, who is the world's resident cockroach. He's a shit demon from the movie Dogma, and he was out there saying, comparing how horrible everything is in Washington, D.C. to, for example, a bunch of cities, one of them being Afghanistan, excuse me, Iraq, Baghdad, and another one it was another war zone country. But basically, a guy got on and grabbed that clip and stitched it or whatever on TikTok, and who was a former deployed army person, and he said, he really threw that whole video or that whole statement of Stephen Miller's under the bus because of how it's like unless you have had a bomber walk into your local convenience store and blow themselves up, spraying everything everywhere, and you've lived through that or had an IED in a dog laying on the side of the road.
funny. Every time somebody says that, I think IUD, like the birth control.
IUD, whatever uterine device, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's but
Not the
anyway, it's so yeah, bomb inside of dog. Let's talk about that. So unless you live through that, you really haven't seen the world. So it's a ridiculous comparison. It's a manufactured crisis, and I just don't even. As much as as much as I hate and despise being on X or watching Fox News, I have to do it every day, just like
Oh,
you guys do. And
Right.
I don't sense any real energy or momentum or sense of like of oh yeah, we're rah-rah behind Trump on this particular thing
really?
with
Right.
Washington D.C. I just don't, and it's not coming across an X as a highly rated topic. It's sort of
Hmm.
like, well, this is going down, and yeah, we know, and it's Trump's way of doing something, and blah blah. They're doing apologetics for Trump
I see.
in MAGA land anyway
Yeah.
for this
I did that
action.
same thing about my husband. I'd make excuses for his shitty behavior. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just you
it
kind of learn that as you
right, and
sink in.
I would really hope that that messaging would make its way back because I can't believe that this would be anything but super, super unpopular,
Mhm.
and back to your National Guard comment, they do look, feel, act, that they're like a duck, walks like a duck, military, right? You throw them into a
Mm,
situation, they're there to do military level things, and they're not there to, have a good time. And
yeah.
they send that body language message and the actual message of
Interesting.
fear and intimidation. And I think
Mm,
that's here's the thing. I was chatting with someone today about it, and I said, look, this is like step one. This is, we've been into LA and that didn't particularly go so well. However, um, think of Washington D.C. as really the model for what Trump wants to do with every other city. Think about where all the Democrats and the progressives and the liberals actually live, and they're
mhm.
usually in big cities,
Yeah.
whereas red folks or Republicans are in more rural areas typically. Then
Mm,
they're kind of the target of the messaging from Republicans. And so as a result of this blue concentration in big cities, that just paints a target for Trump on the big places he wants to go. And I think he listed them off like it was New York and L.A. and Chicago and Atlanta, where Wendy's, what areas where Wendy is, and it's like painting a target on, and this is going to go on about what's it going to look like when we're done. Is it going to look like? Are we in at that point? Are we in territory where Trump can declare martial law and suspend elections? That kind of thing. That's the scary part. For me, anyway, I
I
think
told my therapist, I said, what does it say about me that I'm thinking about how long would it take me to learn to be a sniper? She said, that's how we deal with our helplessness. But yeah, I'm not a gun person, but yeah.
I think the larger problem is we're talking about corporate feudalism.
Yeah. If you bring it back to your article today, that's absolutely the case.
Thiel and all of his shit, um, he leans into technological progress as it represents the epitome of his fucked up sociopathic worldview. And this is a guy who, using Flock Safety and Palantir and all these other companies, specialize in surveillance technology that would make the Stasi wet their pants, as I had said. But the profile of the Freedom City advocates, and it reads like a textbook case of narcissistic engagement. They genuinely
I wanted to hear more about that, if you don't mind. Just kind of walk me through
so they genuinely believe that they are going to save humanity by destroying the very democratic institutions that prevent them from turning society into their personal sandbox. And so here's the nightmare of techno-feudalism. So it represents a complete inversion of Enlightenment principles. And those Enlightenment principles were the principles that were the foundation for modern democratic society. Instead of governing, being derived from consent of the governed, we're barreling towards a system where power flows from corporate boardrooms to territories populated by people who never consented to techno-feudalism. And the philosophical implications of this happening are staggering. We're talking about commodities of citizenship itself, turning the relationship between individual and state into subscription services where people like Bezos and Zuckerberg can modify your terms and conditions whenever the fuck they want. And imagine waking up one morning to discover that your corporate overlord has decided that criticizing company policy is now against the law, and they arrest you.
Wow.
That's not governance. That's the gamification of human existence and human experience by individuals whose view of society is that it's a massive multiplayer game and that there needs to be a clear winner and a loser.
Right.
That's how my ex was. He had to be the winner. He had to be the winner, no matter what. Yeah.
And there's an interesting parallel to that too with the role playing games, right? Like I wrote an article eons ago now. It feels like, but it's actually been since January 20th that I got into explaining some of Yarvin's theories, because it just, if you don't know me, or if you're new to the podcast or this live, I've been following Curtis Yarvin since probably 2007, 2008 when he first started writing. But in his world, if you really take a deep breath, hold your nose, and stare at it for a minute, you'll see that what he's pulling out is an RPG, a role playing game, and this is the mind of somebody who has grown up in Silicon Valley, who has gone to Stanford, has gone to a couple schools. He did not do well in a lot of sociology based courses, and people mistake his main skill. By the way, I did want to add this to the commentary and get your reaction, Wendy, if you thought this too. But Yarvin's skill is actually not political science. It is rhetoric. He is very good. I mean, in the clinical definition of rhetoric, Rhetoric is political speech, right? And that's different than, just us chatting here in this group or, whatever. It has a targeted goal to convince you, to pull you in and make you feel like, oh, I get this. This makes sense. It's good for me. Right. I'll buy that. Give me 5 pounds of that. And 5 pounds of his stuff means 5 pounds of exactly what you said, Wendy, which is it's a corporate overlord relationship. And if you think about it, let me try to pull this one off in the middle of this live, which is if you think about it, think of all the work you don't have to do with that relationship. You don't have to vote. You don't have to worry about how your world and day is going to unfold. And yeah, there's going to be that noise up there about the government stuff but you can just shove it up here into its own little pigeonhole. And that's the allure of the Yarvin worldview, which is it lightens my load. I already have so much shit to deal with every day. Why do I want to have, government should be a commodity service. It should be something that is, and there have been points where I've looked at it and I've thought, honestly, in reading it, I'm not easily swayed, but I'll look at it and go, yeah, I do kind of get your point there, Curtis and Peter, right? Peter wrote, this,
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Linda just said, and I have to say it, Linda, Soylent Green tastes different from person to person.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does. And that is the remanufactured hub. But the Curtis Yarv, I'm sorry, not the Curtis Yarv, the Peter Thiel of the world, right? He's had luck, number one, as his driving force in business. Number two, he's had some good perceptive like insights as to where to point a company and go have them work on something, which is what Palantir does. Which is very surveillance oriented. And he's also fed up with the idea that democracy has legs and should and works, right? He doesn't want he's tired of the slow by design, slow what do they call that? Checks and balances, that was the phrase I was looking for in my mind. Checks and balances based system that takes a lot of deliberation and is constantly held up. It slows down regulation you run into regulations in the process of trying to get things done and so on there. It's just it's a thicket in his mind of things that are unnecessary for how things should be efficiently run. Now I'm done defending it. I don't want to sound like I do believe any of this because I think there needs to be a scalability to our democracy that right now doesn't work. And I think we have run into one of the hard walls within the Constitution that says, look, we no longer need to have electors, for example. We could have an app on our phones and we could weigh in on legislation. We could we could vote. We could do all sorts of things that we 100 years ago couldn't even dream of, and it would be secure and it would be but democracy could run a lot faster if it wanted to.
And it would also cut out a whole lot of people who can't afford a smartphone.
Right. Unless you made that smartphone available for everybody.
Here's the thing. Like if you go to China,
you get one.
Yeah, you get one because there's an app in China called WeChat, and you literally cannot do anything. You can't engage in retail. You can't, get services, none of it without the state-sponsored WeChat app, and that's just how it works.
Oh wow!
It's in my house, Wendy. So for good reason. But if
I'll take your word on that.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not saying. No, I don't read anything too heavy into that. It was sort of an offhand, funny comment.
I'm just
but
a
yeah,
smartass. Okay.
it is, and we talked last night about the idea of there is a different thing than a FICO score in China, and WeChat is a part of that as well, where you go from province to province or district to district, and if you're blacklisted in one place, you can be blacklisted everywhere, which means you can't get a place to stay, you can't get a hotel. Sometimes you can't get a taxi or get on a train. Sometimes you've got, all of this is run through one centralized app, even though it isn't as unified as they ultimately want it to be. It still makes your life pretty hellish as far as being able to do
talk about
anything.
Big Brother, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where we're headed. That is, by the way, and you know what they're doing pilots of right now is in Home Depots and Lowe's, and in fact any large supermarket chain. They're putting in cameras that they've reached agreements with the, if you don't know about the way grocery store works, grocery stores basically run on very, very thin margins. So if they can get any money in the door, they will try to do that because they usually operate with a 3 to 4% margin most of the time. By the time they get stuff out the door to stay competitive. But that said, now they're putting in grocery stores and in Home Depots and in Lowe's things that are license plate readers, things that are scanners for your car, things that are just logging this information, and it's becoming a giant data source for the Palantirs of the world to ingest, where they can match your license plate right in real time to who you are, to your to your police records, to your various data sources that tax information, social security information, all of that information. As once they've got one identifier, they can go after a whole bunch, and that's it should be terrifying to some
Well,
folks.
at least
But
now I don't feel as offended as I did when you said, I don't know if you know how a grocery store works. And I'm thinking, what?
oh no, I'm so
I've been
sorry.
to grocery.
What it
So
meant was financially
I
as a
know.
business.
I know. Now I know. I'm just like,
I apologize to anyone I made feel offended there. By
I
the way,
just
on
took
that.
it. I just
Thanks
took
for
it funny.
taking it. Thank you for telling me. I sometimes I'll just say the dumbass thing, and I don't mean it like that.
Well, your head's
So,
somewhere above what I'm thinking, I think,
so yeah, I know how grocery store. I meant
Thank you.
just having to just having happened quite accidentally to fall into the back end of working in tech for one. I learned that, hey, guess what, down in North Carolina, there's a chain called Food Lion, and I happen
Oh,
to
yeah,
work for
we have
them.
that in Tennessee.
Yeah, and they're owned by now they're owned by I think a Norwegian company or something like that. But in any case, that's where I learned that as a business model, grocery stores themselves work on this just super razor thin margins, and it's
Wow.
not isolated to Food Lion. It's almost everybody. Kroger, ones out west there, Safeway, is it Publix and Safeway? Anyway, so yeah, all good. But that's that. Now, my question are there things that, I mean, is this an all or nothing proposition? First of all, in other words, is it like, if we're on this call, do we think that from the folks, here, that this is something that has some potential good use to it that would benefit us, one, and two, is it really just the touch it toxic level badness to the core that we should be rejecting this kind of ability to surveil the state and control the individual? If anything comes from that, that's something we should be pushing back on and saying, no, I don't want that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's like an abuser, especially a narcissistic abuser.
Yeah,
That's their whole thing is they want to control you. They want to be able to, tell you who you can see and who you can't see and
right.
where you can go. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started. It's fucked up.
And
Okay.
Wendy, if you need to get somebody in who's smarter, go ahead.
Oh,
I mean, if you're going to talk about things like,
Here's the thing. Do you mind if I try to sub you out?
no.
Okay, because I do have, I want to understand something, and I'm going to bug somebody about it. I'll
Good.
just bear with me.
It's
Okay, so here we go. Yeah, because you're going to love this. If this will work. It might not, but we'll see. Oh, of course.
Oh, it's Ellie.
I
Hello,
want to
how are
hear your
you?
bit about Epstein and Bannon.
Oh, okay. Here, let me sneak into my son's room, turn on the lights. Hold on for a second. Okay, well,
I've been
what do you guys
cooking on that
know?
for like 3 days now, and I want to fucking hear it.
Okay. So I wrote an article. 2 nights ago? I had actually come back I went to go see Don Lemon, and Jasmine Crockett showed up as a surprise guest, which was really fun. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna write anything tonight. Because I got back at like midnight, and then I was like, nope, gonna write it. So I ended up, I think I hit publish at 3:30 in the morning, but I just had this on my mind. So okay, Bannon and Epstein. Do you have specific questions, or do you want me just to?
Just
I kind
go.
of just want you to lay the groundwork because I have some things that I understand about that relationship, but I wanted to hear your take on it because I just wanted to hear your
It's kooky.
Yeah,
So, so they met. They didn't meet till 2017, and Bannon had just been previously, like a few months earlier, been kicked out of the White House, right? And it was this very gentle, like, oh, we're parting ways. It's no big deal. He's just done with his job. But then Bannon went out and he was quoted in Michael Wolff's book, and he said a bunch of disparaging comments about Trump. And then that whole thing blew up. So they're kind of frenemies. He and Trump are frenemies. He wants the power of being close to Trump, but they don't actually like each other. So in 2017, he was somehow introduced to Epstein, and it was a little foggy how that happened, but they became fast friends. And I don't know if it was a friendship, because I don't think there's any conventional friendships in any of these people, or if it was a tit for tat. Bannon thought for sure that Epstein was involved with either the CIA or Mossad or some kind of spy network, and he aspired to be a spy. Like, he really was. That was a very romantic idea for him.
right.
And he would tell people, Bannon tells people that he worked for the CIA, which is like the dumbest thing to do, because there's, a very short line of paperwork to show that that's not true. Like, it doesn't take a lot. And so he just became really fascinated with Epstein. And this is like at a time just before Epstein would be arrested for the final time. And so his social circle had gotten very small. People knew that he wasn't a good guy and had kind of disappeared. And so I think Bannon was like, cool, there's room for me now because everybody else has disappeared. And he started interviewing Epstein, going to his house and just doing video interviews. And at the time, it's weird because at the time he was saying that the interviews were to help Jeffrey Epstein, kind of like practice interviews, were to help him with his reputation and to help him to be a better member of society, and help people not to be afraid of him. And so there's these interviews that are now in the possession of Epstein's lawyer and accountant. So Bannon can't even get them. He has no access to them. But there's a clip that I posted in my article that's the only clip publicly available from those interviews. And in it, Epstein says that he's really for the Time's Up movement, which was part of the Me Too movement. He's like, yeah, I'm really supportive of Time's Up, which is the dumbest and funniest and the most ironic thing he could have said.
Right.
Once he was arrested, and I think after he had killed himself, if that's your take, then Bannon separated himself and was like, no, we weren't friends, blah, blah, blah. And he said that his intent for recording these 15 hours of video was to make a 15-hour documentary, which, if you've ever worked on a documentary, it takes about 80 to 100 hours to make a 90-minute film. So, like, to say 15 hours of interviews were for a 15-hour documentary is kind of ludicrous. So he said that all he was doing was making it for this documentary to kind of out Jeffrey Epstein as sort of like a bad guy.
Right.
Which is
Wow.
far and away not the reason he was doing these interviews. Like, he was doing them to get closer to Epstein. He wanted to be his guy. He himself has a very shady past. He has been. And so there was kind of like a sycophant mentality with Jeffrey Epstein, which I think a lot of people had, which is why he had these weird social circles. But he just, I think it was just kind of this like long chain of like idealizing him for this like spy world that probably didn't exist. Who knows, right?
If you're right. So what I took away from the data that I'd read about the relationship between the two of them was that there were these media training sessions that happened, and there was a financial arrangement.
Oh yeah, no, he was on Epstein's payroll. He had a salary,
and so and the reasoning behind that was very peculiar to me, and I did not understand that it was Bannon wanted to be a CIA agent, and
it was part of it. I think there was a lot of reasons. I think he wants to just be somebody, right? You know what I mean? Now he's got his War Room podcast. He just really wants to be somebody. And I think he's still licking his wounds from being kicked out of the White House, and he just wants to go back into that world. And for him, that was a vein of doing that, or at least an FU to the people who kicked him out. You know, like then Trump wasn't friends with Epstein, so it could have been like a, you know, you guys aren't hanging out, but we are, kind of a thing. I don't know. It was very shady, but just like how quickly they became really close friends was very, very strange.
Yeah, that is something. And now, did you, when you were doing some of the research for that, did you get into, or do you know enough to kind of riff on maybe Bannon's background a little bit, and in terms of what his shady past was, as you described it?
I think I wrote a little bit about it. It was very late at night, so I'd have to go back.
Oh, I didn't mean to put you on the
You
spot.
remember little tips and things from it? You could probably jog my memory, but like he just had he was a corporate banker.
Right.
And he was also a political advisor, which is a great combination these days. You know, I have to say it's pretty yeah, I'm trying to think if there was any Heritage Foundation stuff in there.
I don't remember seeing that. It might have been there, but I wish I could pull it up right at the moment. I can't. I can't. But yeah, that's an interesting vein, because I've really questioned when I look at his appearance and I look at like how he speaks, and it's like all this stuff sort of came from somewhere. You know, he has a specific. Yeah, there's like an angle to his dialect and to his vocabulary that kind of is interesting. I don't know if it's you know.
Oh yeah, Breitbart. Yeah, Breitbart.
Breitbart.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, he's in on that now, and I wonder, you know, the other connection section I'm really interested in with Bannon is kind of being able to look into that world and say how much of conservative slash neoliberal or neo-reactionary money is flowing into that media piece, you know, the media engine that Bannon is part of. Because it'd be interesting, and that's like, you know, just to put a pin in it, because I'd like to myself just dig into that and find out a little bit more.
Yeah, there's not a very fine line between media money and politics these days, and you'll see a little bit of, I mean, you see that with now like most legacy news stations. They're not clearly liberal anymore. They are very much starting to get muddled with where their money comes from and what they can say. And
for sure,
the funniest thing to me today, so we're watching all these tweets coming from Gavin Newsom, you know, in the style of Trump social posts.
I loved your earlier live, by the way, Ellie. That was awesome.
His Trump-like tweets were his.
I know they're perfect, and I just
spot on.
You just know there's like a Gen Z intern behind that, just having such a good time. But like, an example is, you think of someone like Chris Cuomo, who started really high. He's kind of fallen and fallen and fallen.
Yeah, he's done the opposite of rise.
He's done the opposite of a lot of people who've left legacy media. Like, you see all these people go to Substack, and he did something else and it didn't work for him. But like, just seeing him today, like he was
He was News
knocking.
Nation, right? News Nation.
Yeah, he's News Nation, and he was knocking the tweets, going, writing all caps tweets doesn't make people listen to you more. And everybody's going, do you not understand what's going on here?
Parody.
Like, this is a parody. This is a farce. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it used to be one of my highest goals to write for like a New York Times or any of these major newspapers. And I still could, and I still know people there who are very good journalists, right? They're not the people at the top. They're not the corporation. But I look at the freedom of news and journalism on Substack. And granted, you still need to do your homework. When you read something from somebody on Substack, you still need to look up these, look at the citations, look at the links, make sure
you got it.
You can't assume that because it's independent journalism, people are doing their job. There are fewer checks and balances, but people have more at stake. So, but with legacy news, you know that there is one big biased head behind all the all the stories, and there's not here. And so I've really enjoyed listening to all these people who've been fired off, NBC, ABC, whatever.
Yeah, I mean there's I'm totally with you, Ellie. That is a great comment and a great observation, in an insight. I think what I've had a problem with in terms of in what I'll call with air quotes independent media isn't the people who are like, trying to package analysis and package information into, articles and so forth, just in putting that energy there. What I've sensed getting sloppy is this sense. First of all, there's like this particular medium, which is video, right? There's a lot more video infiltrating Substack, and which I'm not saying is good or bad. I'm just saying it is, right? It is. And so with it though, if and you've worked in this area obviously for a good long time to know it, that there's a lot of checking that has to happen, and it takes more work in the written type of media to get to be accurate, which is why I was just aghast the other day when I just discovered that Substack put a hard limit on the character length of an article, which literally chopped off. Literally chopped off my citations.
Yes.
So instead of the blue bar that warns you that you're getting over the Gmail length, now Substack has changed the rules. I can sit there and Control V paste my citations from my original source media into the Substack, and it just slices it off, and nobody sees it.
Here's a tip: if you do like the old school citations at the bottom, like you would for like a college paper, if they're citing a specific point in your article, you can highlight it and link the citation right to that word, so you don't have to have so people can click on it throughout the article. So if they see something they want to know the citation right there, they just click on the word or the name or the whatever, and it takes them right to the source. And that way you don't have to write them.
Yeah, it's so much easier to link, highlight, citate. I always forget to do it.
Yeah, and that's a great tip. I appreciate it too, Ellie.
Yeah, it'll save space at least.
I just have to. I'm old school, and I have another workflow that I try to have to transfer stuff into the Substack editor after I'm done writing it. So anyway,
do you know what the length is? Do you know what the length is now?
No, I don't. I didn't measure it yet, but I will tonight because I'm going to publish one tonight. But it's an interesting thing. But there's also another dynamic to it, which is even with the label of independent media, I've seen things that are highly biased coming out that are carrying in the opposite, in the like they're not taking as much diligence and time to report on the facts of a thing as much as they are their opinion on the facts of the thing being negative. And I think that I could name names, and it's just not worth it. But I could say there are certain outlets here that we probably know, and where there's just a huge bias to the left, and I think it undermines the credibility of where independent media is going to go. And I think also independent media has, I would love your thought on this. I think it has a basic, what's the word, a routing problem, to put it in one way, which is to say, there isn't, there aren't the organized news desks within independent media. It's like if you cover something, it's ad hoc, you're just there or you're not. But it's like there is a lack of that layer of being able to say, hey, over here is a piece of something that's potentially worth investigating. Why not go do it? And there aren't bodies to necessarily go look at it, right? And that function used to exist within the corporate news desk thing, and now it's not an independent
Right.
media there. So you get, what I run into frequently is, like, I can write an article before 7 o'clock, press click on a given day, and without working very hard, I can tell you exactly what the majority of a bunch of Substacks are going to be about in a given day, just because I
Right.
spent the night looking at the news. That's all I mean is I'm not a prophet. I'm just saying I have the ability to look at it and go, oh, you know what? Because of this, we're going to see
What
that.
it's the buzzwords. It's the
Yep.
and it's interesting what you're saying, because I think even at your corporate news places now, like I have a good friend who works, his beat is soccer, right? His whole job is to travel the world and do the World Cups and write about soccer.
Wow.
But now he's writing about 8 different sports or something like that, because they've fired everybody at the LA Times, and so now he has to cover many, many different beats in order to keep his job, right? So it's probably there's fewer of the checks and balances and the different desks and the different editors now even there. I think, and this is a thing that I have on my mind all the time while writing, because I am aware of what's popular when you write. I mean, there's obviously certain things right now that are very popular to write about.
Yep.
I'm aware of 2 things that I don't like. Number 1 is writing down the same thing that everybody is writing. Like, it doesn't do me any good to write the same article that someone else wrote.
No.
Not interesting. It'll probably get clicks, whatever. But it's like, what good have I done? What I have not added anything to the world. I have not informed anybody. The second
Right.
thing is the idea of being like a tabloid versus being, digging.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And I don't want to be. Thank you, Craig. I don't want to be a tabloid. I came here to write fiction. I'm a novelist. It's like I hope to have integrity with my writing, and if I'm going to write in a journalistic style, I need to write in a way that's not, fast cashed in the checkout stand, and it's not,
Right.
Bat Boy. And if I'm going to write about Epstein or something like that, I'm writing about things that people aren't talking about enough that I think are important. Like, I think about, like, his first arrest. That was a very important thing to write about. It was talked about for a minute, and then everybody stopped talking about it. And it's like, that was a big deal. So that's like something I would say, okay, well, we need to talk about that. We need to write about that. Nobody else seems
Yeah.
to be doing that.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but
go for it.
you really made something funky when you went through and did that multi-part piece on the One Big Beautiful Act, Bill Act, the
Uh,
tax bill. You spent an enormous amount of time, and I could only imagine what kind of energy you went through, because I slogged through that thing
yeah,
myself once. But that's a lot of work, and I thought to myself as I watched you publish it, like, late at night, because I'm up writing then. It was like, wow, that she is busting her ass getting this done. And this is great stuff, because I would read it. This is a great simplification, but it's like, how can I, get in there or, I mean, no, that really isn't what I was thinking directly, but it was, how would I support Ellie's thing that we need to talk about, which is what's in this bill, because nobody else is, like, nobody, ABC, CBS, CNN, nobody's talking about the contents of this freaking thing.
right.
And all of a sudden we need to talk about it. And it's like, wow, Ellie's got the source code right
I
here
just,
for the thing,
it's a deep embedded belief, for me at least, that the reason why we got here, and we keep asking ourselves, how did we get here? Like, this is
Yeah.
crazy. Is because people didn't understand what they were reading or voting for. Because it
Yeah.
was meant to not be understood, right? Project 2025 is made to be heavy. The Big Beautiful Bill was stupidly heavy. And
It was.
when they said they read it in Congress for 15 hours before they voted on it, I was like, if you read this out loud, you still wouldn't know what it meant. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think most people in that room knew what it meant, because when you read it, it doesn't say we are subtracting this percentage from this, but it doesn't say any of that. It just says Amendment to Bill 3,
Right.
page 5, and then it
It's
moves on.
cross-referenced by number.
And you
It's like,
have to go on. You have to go find all these other acts and bills
right.
to even know what they're talking about. So it's like, why would you sit there and read it? It doesn't have any information in it.
I know.
It was just a ploy to be like, we read it in Congress, so now people know what they're voting on. They have no idea. And like
Right.
when Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she didn't
Oh, yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
She wouldn't have voted for it. She
that was
refused
the
it.
easiest, most plain English part of the bill.
Yes.
It was like
Yes,
the
it was.
only section that actually said it in English, in wording.
Right.
This is what we're doing with AI. Everything else was coded language.
Yes.
And so I was just like, I don't know that it's going to make a difference, but I want people who think that the people they voted for are making the right decisions to know
Yeah.
what those people are making decisions about. Because
Right.
I don't think anybody did. I don't think people who have legal minds did. I don't think people sitting in their living room watching Fox did.
I mean,
think
you
that
need to
the-
have right on hand. Just to do what you did, you have to have right on hand the USC to refer to it, the United States
Mhm.
Code, to go cross-reference everything else, plus
Everything.
a whole bunch of other texts. And
Millions of yeah.
it's who the hell, unless you're a trained researcher that actually knows how to navigate that stuff back and forth, it's impossible to really
Well,
be
Rick,
able
I
to
mean,
deal with it.
I went through that bill.
Oh yeah, you did. That's right. Sorry.
And I only got like,
Can you just tell them to wipe? Sorry, my bill's on
I
the
could
toilet.
only get like 30%, because the rest of
Yeah.
it was like, here are 4 to, there are 4 in a 4
Yeah.
of.
Right. But the
all that
number, it
fucked
was just
up language.
numbers and codes. It was like reading computer code. I wouldn't be any better at it. And you had to have like 3-4 documents side by side in your tabs.
Right on there, yeah.
Go back and forth and back and forth. So there's no way somebody just sat and read it and then understood what it meant and then voted. That's completely impossible.
And so here we are right now. Now it's passed, it's been signed, and I guarantee that Trump has no idea how it's worded or whatever. I think he's more got an on-demand, probably a Chat GPT trained on the thing. He said, "Can I do this?" And it goes out and figures that out for him.
Foundation. That's what he's got. He's got
Yeah, that's right. So that's that part of it, but the other side of it are all the people who are slowly waking up to the fact that, holy crap, my taxes are going up,
Right.
my take home, my prices are going up. By the way, oh gee, that's what tariffs do, and then so there's just a bunch of unpleasant realities unfolding,
Right.
and it's this data. I'll tell you what, I think the entire stock market is insane right now because of the fact that they're just riding this wave of buy the dip or over and over. And then there's economics that's happening at the institutional, aka your 401k level investors, and you've got a mix of things that are happening, which are unfortunate on the end of the normal American average person who's just trying to get by in life and has got to cook dinner and has 2 kids and a dog to take out that needs to go to the bathroom. All those things are like converging on us at once, and it's very stressful for many people that leave. The people leave comments in both Wendy's articles and my articles. I'm sure yours are. People are just stressed out. They're tired. They're exhausted by design, and we've got. I think we could do a better collective job together doing things that are like, I think Wendy's vision here of having, multiple people working around that is good. And I think there's others like Wonket and whatever. I don't have an opinion, good or bad, on Wonket because I don't read them that much at all. But there are other platforms where it's like they're organizing some of that content, and then that's fueling other conversations, at least a little bit. I think there's more to go.
Connecting different groups of people together to have a bigger conversation.
Right. But I think, by the way, I think you would be very influential in that. I'll just put my boat and my thumb up for it, because that you do such a good job of thinking at the reader level. And there's so few writers who actually, really, really do put their brains there and think about who is my reader and what level can they absorb something at. And so you do just a great job. I just want to throw props to you on that. And
yeah, I like I said, I wanted to bring you on because that article was really, really powerfully written.
Thank you.
And again, here's the thing. I do the same thing. Like the people that I can talk to, like if I could get Jeff Tiedrick to respond to me,
yeah.
What the fuck are you writing about tomorrow? Because I don't want to go near it.
Right. But you know what? We're all gonna for the foreseeable future be rewriting on the same topic, because it's just how our minds work, right? You go to, well, where's the heavy topic today? And there's days where I'll try to stay off that main topic, and I get penalized for it. There's not as high my click rates and reads and all that other stuff and opens. If I stay off the Epstein topic on a day when Epstein is hot, it's like I get punished for it in the reads because I did something else because everybody else was covering Epstein that day.
The thing that's really helped me out as like a life hack, is if you go online and you look up Epstein or you look up Maxwell, you look up some of these people.
The trends like Google.com thing, or?
Well, if you go up to the tools, like in Google, you can set a search date period. And if you search before like 2018 and you find the articles about these people before they were considered, criminals or whatever, and just read the exposés that people write about them without knowing what there is really, really interesting stuff out there that nobody talks about. I'm like, hold on, this is a huge red flag. So there's a lot of stuff like that. That's where I'm pulling. I feel like all my articles that I'm pulling from are like 20 years old, but they're really interesting.
That is cool. That sounds like a really good one. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, Wendy, I committed so many sins in the last couple nights about going over because I was running my mouth. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm sure you want to kick me off.
No, not at all. Like I said, we're right at the top of the hour, and so I wanted to have a queer comment hour, but I also did a live earlier with my paid subs earlier today, and so we talked about some queer shit, and that's fine. So, but this was a topic specifically, especially from Ellie's case, because of the Epstein Bannon relationship. But again, I read that article and I was like, holy shit. Why are we not talking about this?
Right?
Because I feel like we should be talking about it.
For sure. Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, is the Epstein thing ever going to go away? No.
No, and
unless they open it up. If they
how far are we away from Congress going back into session?
I don't know. It's September, isn't it, or late August?
September.
So we're like 2 weeks away, and then Congress is going to be in session again. And are they going to let it die?
Yeah.
I mean, they might try. I don't think I don't think the rest of us are going to let it die. I don't think Gavin Newsom's going to let it die anymore. That's going to be a campaign now for the next 2.5 years, 3 years.
We're gonna have Trump parody tweets coming out every day. I can't wait. Those are funny as hell.
Yeah.
I found it completely hysterical when Nuke started. Where it's going to be bigly.
Yeah, bigly. The quotation marks around all words that don't need quotation marks.
Yeah, and that other thing that just drives me insane is when Trump capitalizes the first letter of like an emphasis, he uses a capital first letter and small rest of it, on words that don't need to have, like the best hot dogs ever. It's capital BH, whatever, and like that drives me crazy.
Well, and it's funny because I went and looked on Truth Social today, and Trump is doing no all caps. He's not doing all caps on it.
Yeah,
that's making him behave.
He knows he's been called out.
Wow.
They're all very gentle. There's no exclamation points today. They're all very like professional looking, and I'm like,
Oh my God, that's awesome! Wow.
I think I think that's hysterical.
There's also a Covfefe. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't.
No, the Covfefe. Really?
Yeah, he did a Covfefe tweet.
Oh, I can't wait
said
till we
so
get
fast,
off
that's
this.
it.
I'm gonna have to go look that up right away.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go through a little
Yep.
stinky
Yeah. Go.
in the tub.
All right.
Yep.
We're gonna go.
Ellie, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm glad we chatted.
All
Talk
right.
again soon.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
All right. If you don't have anything else, I'm gonna hop off too. So
No, I know we're right at the top of the hour, so I think we're gonna kill it.
Yep. Okay. Well, hey, have a great night. We'll see you on the other side of it. All right.
Yeah, on the other side of it, Rick. Always.
Yep. Take care. Bye.
Wow. Really, really good session tonight. Thank you for everybody for coming. If you're new, please subscribe. We're a family here. I will tell you, if you're a paid subscriber, you actually get to chat with me and talk with me in a setting where you could theoretically pick up the phone and call me. Our subs will tell you that paid subs get very well treated on the publication, very strongly and very extensively. But regardless, if you're a free sub, please share our stuff around with everybody. If you're not, then at least, you know, continue to support the work, because I can't get through this without you guys. We can't get through this without each other. Bye, Craigers. And thank you, everyone. I will tell you all, please, if you're in a safe place, get there and stay there. Stay safe. Don't take risks, because we all love you. I love you, and everyone else does, and we want you to be safe. So please, just be safe, and then we will talk tomorrow. If we don't talk tomorrow, we'll talk just after that. Thank you, and good night.